Hello everyone, this is Joe Fosco with ANP's Roundtable discussion for today, January 31st, 2014. You obviously see my co-host, Mr. Franco Canati, and those of you who may know this, very interesting and well-known person in Chicago. We have a retired sergeant of the Chicago Police Vice Squad or Organized Crime, Don Harrion. Don, did I say the department right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for being with us today. We're extremely honored that you would come and meet with us and talk to us today.
Fine.
Thank you again. Before we go into a little bit of your professional history of the Chicago Police Department, I do want to address something about Michael Magnifici, who was supposed to be here today, or whether or not it was supposed to be today. He was supposed to be here for our next podcast, and he's not here. But I need to go a little further. About a week ago, there was contact between Michael and I, and we haven't had contact in a few months since that September 12th, 2013 incident in Bartlett, Illinois, when he was arrested for gun charges. And that pertained to some peculiar circumstances that I believe involved me. In a recent conversation for the first time in a few months with Michael, he and I discussed things for the first time, and since the occurrence, and Michael agreed that he would be willing to come, provided I would be able, and I was amenable to that, provided I would be able to have an expert administer a polygraph test and have him answer questions under oath whether or not he intended to inflict harm upon me in September. He said, September 2013, he said that he would be willing to do that after to prove his innocence in the matter. He insists that he was attempting to save the life of Dick Portillo, the restaurant magnate's son, Tony, who, according to Michael, was, I'll say, allegedly suicidal prior to September 12th, and Michael acted as a hero by taking the gun away from Mr. Portillo. Michael claims that he saved Mr. Portillo's life. Of course, Mr. Portillo didn't show any sign of thanks. Michael was held on bond for several weeks. Tony Portillo certainly could afford to post the bond, was not thankful apparently for Michael's good deeds, and did not bail him out of jail, obviously. So I'm curious as to whether or not Michael is being truthful about that. He was to appear at our next podcast, undergo a test for lie detection. He's clearly not here for that, and I continue to remain concerned about him for all the reasons indicated here. Having said that, if anyone has any questions, write into us and we'll answer them next time. And let's get back to the more important things right now. Again, Don, thanks for being here. You've been retired a few years now from Chicago PD. And you went on, if my memory serves correct, sometime in the late 1950s?
55.
1955, middle 1950s, pardon me. And you went on, initially you were just a patrolman, you had a beat somewhere in the Chicago Avenue district?
Right, the Austin district.
Mm-hmm. So you probably met quite a few interesting, infamous characters, even early on in 55.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a few experiences with like mob people. And
Austin took in what, like Taylor Street? And,
no. Austin was from North Avenue on the north to Madison Street, Austin Boulevard to Kedzie.
Really?
Yeah. It was a quiet district when I went on the job.
Right.
We only had 3 squad cars.
Right.
And then after OW came in, and then there was like 25 squad.
OW, who is that?
He came in as a reformer, right?
That was the superintendent of Chicago PD?
Yeah, he was hired, he was a boss or something out in California.
Yeah.
Mayor Daley hired him because of a scandal we had called Summerdale.
Summerdale.
Yeah.
And he revamped the whole police department, changed the colors of the squad cars, got new radios, and hired a lot more.
Experts.
Right, right.
I remember that, I read about that.
Yeah.
But Wilson came in, he's right, there was a scandal at Summerdale. I think Tom West was one of the coppers up there.
I don't recall.
Whatever they do, they're shaking down places.
They were burglarizing.
They were setting up places, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, weren't they working with the outfit too on that, the burglars?
I don't believe they were.
The Chicago outfit, the mafia's
Yeah.
outfit.
I don't know if they were with them. I mean, I don't know. You know, this is in 58 or 9 or somewhere. in
That
there.
was the heyday of the outfit though in those days.
Well,
Who was the boss then in '58? Besides the
O'Connor.
Mayor Dingley? Who? I'm
Tim
talking about outfit.
O'Connor.
Who was the outfit boss then?
Was the Cardo, of course, or Giancana was right there too. So.
Yeah, any personal run-ins with either of those two, Accardo
No.
or Giancana?
No.
Some of their top guys, though, I believe you probably, Joe Gagliano,
Yeah,
Jack Cerrone,
yeah,
Willie Massino,
yeah.
Joe Lombardo, the guy,
Yeah,
the clown.
Were they all gentlemen?
No.
How were they? How would they take it?
No, they.
Were you on unmarked cars or in a police squad?
We had a car chase with Lombardo all over Chicago,
Chicago Avenue.
around Grand and Racine.
Yeah.
Around areas with,
What were you doing over there?
we were making a raid on a guy named Jimmy Kozo who lived over there.
It's well known.
And Lombardo was in a car with Legs D'Antonio.
Was his guy, right? It was his.
He had an accident, had a heart attack, and died later.
Later, but he was
Some
supposed to
years
run
later.
things when Joey went away from Lombardo.
After the chase was over, we did get him, and all we found on him were jeweled glassine bags, you know, the little bags that they put jewelry in.
Oh,
Right,
sure.
right.
Well, we didn't find any jewelry. I think they threw it all out the window, but you can't arrest him for
an empty bag.
empty bags. So
Today they probably would. These
maybe
coppers
it's,
today.
yeah,
But
well,
in those days, they had to have laws to
Yeah.
back up what they were
Had to
doing.
follow the laws of
To follow the laws. Now they smell cologne on you. They arrest you. These guys
but
today.
we did lock them both up for traffic violations. And so it was a big chase. So we had the FBI with us.
No, your immediate boss. Do you mind me? Because I'm curious. Your immediate boss in the police department.
What?
His immediate boss.
Oh,
Who was in
immediate
charge? Who did you answer to
At what time? When I went on the job?
when you were at organized crime?
I didn't get on organized crime until '66.
Okay.
I was a patrolman from '55 to '61, and then they had a big change with O.W. Wilson where they transferred all the station detectives to areas, and they worked like robbery, burglary. They would handle,
Right.
each would handle their own subject matter. So and so when I happened to break in Mark Thanasouras when he was a sergeant, and I was still a patrolman, and Mark was at Summerdale before the scandal, and anyway, he transferred into Austin as a commander.
Sure.
He made sergeant, lieutenant, captain in about 2 years.
A lot of odd stories about him over the years.
Oh, Mark?
Yes. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Oh, yeah. A lot of stories about it.
I mean, I've heard the cases where he'd be shooting his gun in a restaurant through the ceiling and all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. I got it when he took over Austin. I was transferred downtown to the gambling unit on organized crime. So, and my commander at that point was John Newrada. And he said, I'm being transferred down to 11th and State. I said, well, I don't want to go down there. He said, because I only lived about 4 blocks from Austin. I said, well, I don't want to
Where'd
go
you live?
traveling
You live
down
on the
there.
west side there?
Well, then I got married and we lived at Augusta and Pine,
Right,
which is like 3 or 4 blocks away from the district.
right.
So I was a
Was there a lot of Irish in there then?
Yeah, there were, yeah.
Yeah.
German, there was a lot
German,
of German,
Irish.
true. But anyway, he said, well, Mark Thanasouras had taken my place. I said, what time do we leave? You know, I said, get me out of here.
Why, because you knew he was nuts?
Oh, yeah, he
Was he dirty, or was he just
was crazy.
crazy?
He is deceased today, is he not?
He got shot.
Oh, right, yeah, right, he was murdered, he was murdered. Pardon me.
I'm laughing because in those days, you can't even explain what went on, how everything was just really dangerous, what you guys were going through out
It was
there.
a little,
I mean, killing was just...
oh, it was, yeah, it was nothing.
But what was he? Was he a dirty cop? This,
Mark
I can't even say his name. I said, what is it?
Thanasouras?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Was he in charge of Sommerdale?
Boston, no,
Okay.
he was he just made captain there.
Right.
And then they made him a commander at Austin, and he
Right.
took over at Austin.
Right.
And that's when they started the $100
Right.
a month club with all the local taverns. And
That they had to come up with that money, right?
They had, otherwise the police would be in there.
What's the $100 a month
just
club?
said-
100 a month you would pay.
That was a, I mean, just to clarify, that was a protection
Yeah, more or less,
program.
yeah.
An underground protection program.
Yeah.
Payoff.
And if they didn't pay, what happened? The coppers would raid their place, right?
Well, they would aggravate
Yeah,
him, you know,
yeah.
probably write tickets or something. And Mark doesn't Mark's tactics. That's what he would do.
Right.
You know, so
You think that stuff still goes on today?
no,
No. Well, that's really a relief to hear.
yeah.
Now, when you were, who was the first gangster you ever pinched when you went on organized crime? One of the first, if you don't remember exactly the first. I know there's a
Well, I had
voluminous,
a
number.
problem with the brother, Gazaldo brothers.
Oh, that would be Cosmo was a cousin, and there were Tony and
Phil.
And Phil. They all had some pool halls on Chicago Avenue.
Yeah, right. And they worked.
And they were book joints.
They worked for
Gagliano.
Gags.
Well, Joe Gates ran all that at that time.
And
Him and Willie
Sorrell
Messina.
and Willie.
Yeah, sure.
Now, Giggs was,
Cosmo was, he used to drive my father around once in a while. Or, well, more than once in a
but
while.
so the people at home understand, because we're moving a little fast with
Yes.
names. Giggs was the guy at one time, right? Or the underboss,
He
like
worked for Cerrone.
Jackie Cerrone. And,
I would
but
say.
Giggs, that's where Johnny DeFranco worked for, right? Gagliano?
I don't know if DeFranco worked for him.
What do you think DeFranco worked for? He was in the mix somewhere.
Yeah, well,
I was told he Gagliano was his guy, like his China.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's what I mean. I'm 55 year older than me, so you've
maybe
seen a lot.
Cerrone.
I don't know. That was
Cerrone was.
Cerrone liked Giggs, but I
He
heard
didn't,
Cerrone
yeah.
didn't like DeFranco.
Well, I never heard that.
No?
He put DeFranco in power, for
Okay.
heaven's sakes. Yeah, Joe Gaggs was probably Jackie Cerrone's most trusted person.
Right.
And Joe Gaggs, I believe, liked Johnny DeFranco and Willie Messina probably
Right.
almost equally and more than anyone beside his own brothers.
But when you were out there arresting these guys were young guys, right?
Yeah, well, Harry Hamlin was only in his late 30s, I think.
Yeah. Harry Allman. How about
Whack
Johnny?
him.
How old was Johnny?
Who?
When Johnny DeFranco.
I never had a chance to really aggravate him too much.
You did pinch him on a raid, or he was
Yeah,
involved.
yeah.
You did, so you pinched
Yeah.
DeFranco once. You pinched. In fact, I have some books. You mind if I pull them up to?
No.
All right. Mr. Harrion has authored two extremely fascinating books. Which one did you author first?
This one.
Okay.
No.
Chicago Mob, Pay, Quit, or Die.
I'll hold it for you.
Oh, And that was the first one. Is that is that the list? Is that the book that contains the list? This is the second book, The Chicago Way, by Don Arian.
And when did that book come out?
Well, this is the most recent book. The first book
Come out in 2008.
2008. And when did this one come out?
Yeah.
Oh, about 2 years ago.
So this is about 2012 or 13.
I was just telling him, John Cass of the Chicago Tribune uses this term all the time.
He does.
The Chicago Way.
Yeah. Okay. For those of you interested in this, I recommend you go to your computer as soon as you can and buy these books. They're great reads, and a lot of amazing information in these books.
Shows you a lot of the beginning of the alphabet.
Some great photographs, some great stories, some great narrative, and a list of every person. I remarked before we started the show, when I looked at the list of people that you arrested, it looked like the Berwyn phone book. You've made quite a few arrests. God bless you for that, taking some of these
Yeah,
groups
tell
off
me,
the
I
street.
mean, like, when did you go into organized crime again, you said?
66.
It would be 66 when I went down to
Well, prior to
the
that.
big leagues. That was called a big league.
Right. Now, why did they pick you for that?
Well, because my commander was transferred down there to take over the vice control of it. So I went with him, my partner Wally Gobert went with him, and Sergeant, at that time, Sergeant Gatz went down. So three of us went down with John Newratter.
Was that Chicago Avenue, or what was that?
When we were at Austin, then we went down 11th and State.
11th and State.
Right.
We went to the big building.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, they were like the big, see, the Gazaldos were raided. It just, Tony had a pool hall on Chicago Avenue. And he had a pool hall, and they were raided by downtown, which was a really big deal.
Right.
They come in, because that embarrasses the local commander, because then the superintendent of police would ask, if downtown had to come in and
right.
bust you, why couldn't you find
You
it?
see it,
If,
right?
You know.
if I may interject, correct me if I'm wrong, Don.
Yeah.
I believe that your district commander, your captain, put you in the pool hall to cover his own hide, to make it appear
Well,
as though
that's my feeling.
he had a police officer there, and it was up to you. If you wanted to look the other way, it was your hide.
He didn't tell me that.
Okay.
No.
Unwritten. It was an unwritten understanding.
He put me in there to prevent another raid from downtown.
Gotcha.
And to show that police were watching this place and etc. So
Right.
I kind of figured out, or was told by some old timer, if you see something in there, I wouldn't jump at doing anything, So I said, oh yeah, great. So every day.
I mean, it was a gambling house, right?
It was a pool hall.
Oh.
Yeah, but there was a book joint too that they would call.
They had a phone booth in there.
And they would take that down the beds on the ponies and things.
Right.
Yeah, and the phone would ring. I'm in there in uniform, and Tony, who's in the book there, Tony would, we're all friends. How are you doing? I was like a doorman. So,
Were you in uniform?
yeah,
In a CPD uniform?
yeah.
But it was just like a pool hall anyway.
Yeah, it's a pool hall. It was a pool hall, and they were playing gin rummy and all that. There's no money on the table, but
What intersection was this pool hall
it
located
was
in?
near. It was on Chicago, 3500 block, if I recall.
Around Pulaski?
Yeah, or east of Plaza.
That was a strong Italian neighborhood at one time.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And the goofy part is, there'd be wise guys come in. You work gold and all that.
No.
Anyway, they would come in with gold chains and all these.
All duped out, dressed up,
They were all
Schmackos.
wannabes, and they come in. Yo, how you doing?
Kissing each other on the cheek and all that good
You ever
stuff.
say you goddamn Dave
No, I
Wilson.
couldn't say that.
What did they do?
I was on probation yet, for God's sake.
As a cop?
With a police department. Sure, I was afraid I was going to get fired if they
Because
come in.
you're, now, a guy, your commander, was telling you to go there, right?
Yeah.
Now, who was the commander?
At that time,
Yes.
a guy named Tom Kelly.
Italian guy, right?
No.
Now, who was Kelly's clout?
How would I know that?
But I mean, he was strong enough to allow a lot of this to go on. So it had to be something.
I can't say he knew what was going on. He put me in there to prevent any further violations of the law, right?
Right, okay. But
So-
why did downtown come and raid the place?
I don't know. They were the guys with the big fedoras and the three-piece suits, and
So they got tipped about something here.
Well, sure, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea.
It made the commander look
I didn't know
bad.
anything about this stuff. I was Joe the new guy on the job, you know.
How old were you at the time?
25.
Don, in one of your arrests that you made involving Joe Lombardo, aka Joe the Clown, there's a story I heard once upon a time that during some kind of police station situation involving Joe, or some apprehension involving Joe, an officer maybe accidentally wound up kicking him in the head when he was...
I heard he tripped and fell down.
I said, well, all you coppers say what's so
That was the day of the chase.
when they chased him?
Chased him, and then finally blocked the street off, and they couldn't go any further. And
Did you try ramming the car? No, he stopped.
no, they were dead. You know,
They
so
couldn't
we,
get out, right?
we just got them out of the car. And, how you doing? And Goofy Legs said, "Man, that was really fun. We got to do this again." You know?
That's Legs D'Antonio.
Yeah.
Right.
And they hung at not only Lombardo, but they hung at that Grandin May
Right, club.
pool hall,
Okay, right.
which they rented out for a Crime Story when they were doing.
You know
their
that club
crime
just
story.
recently, they moved from there, but they were still there, a lot of guys.
Oh
hanging
yeah,
there,
they're still there.
Recently, down the street from Salerno.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
The restaurant. Do you know the, well, I don't know, the Pagones? Jake Pagone? He was with that crew, but he was not, you know, major.
There's a lot of wannabe guys.
Yeah, and then they were more tied into Nardulian and the Alderman and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in those days. How about Capuzzi? Remember him at all?
What do you do?
He was a politician.
I didn't have time to do that stuff.
You were
Politicians,
just-
whoever we got, you know.
Well, I just want to make it clear, you were a good cop.
Well, I think it's abundantly clear
Yeah,
before this interview.
I understand that, but when we're talking about this, when he's told to stand by the pool hall, it almost looks like he's a lookout, but he's not. He was a good cop.
He had a black guy in there named Sam, who was a nice guy, but he was hired as a lookout, and they had mirrors in each corner of the front of the store where he could shine shoes and
See what's
he
going
could
on.
see anybody coming either way. That was
Right.
his job, you know. But I took him. They got me out of there in about a week. I had to sweat it out.
Really?
Yeah, and then I said, someday I'm going to get even with this.
Right.
And when I start working Vice in '61, at the first place we busted in the district. Now
Because it bothered you. That bothered you that these guys were running around.
Revenge goes a
Right,
long way.
right, sure it does. Sure.
Don, any busts with Lee Magnifici, Michael Magnifici's father?
No, I never.
Any? Oh, you had some interaction with Michael Magnifici when he was a younger guy.
He was. He worked at White Pines as a cart boy. He would move the carts and.
I told him when we were talking for the first time very recently, and when I was trying to cultivate him to come in for the polygraph test, that he jumped at and said, "Yes, I'll be glad to prove my innocence." And then, of course, I don't hear from him anymore, and he doesn't show up. But I told him that you were going to be here, and he may be a little nervous about meeting you. After all, that could be part of the reason why he didn't show up or get a hold of me. And he did remember. He did remember you and your partner, Carlo. And yes, he did remember that. And I think that, Frank, if you remember one of the last shows we did with Michael, it was done at Tony Portillo's house. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember that there was some conversation on that, during that show, that Tony Portillo mentioned that a friend of his, one of his best friends, who stood up for his wedding, I believe he told us before the show he was referring to John Credidio Jr., but he didn't want to go into that on the show.
Right.
You remember that was the onset of some of the issues that
Right.
later turned into a whole bunch of other things. And so Michael, part of why I think he's not here today, there's several parts to it. One, I wonder if he feels that he won't pass the lie detector test. Two, I think he was nervous about meeting you because of, you know, how strongly you've served the police department as an anti-outfit police officer or sergeant. Who knows, maybe we'll hear from him, maybe he'll reconsider, maybe he'll agree to do the polygraph and meet with you. It'd be interesting. I'd like to see what the polygraph test results would be.
Well, I got a couple questions.
Yeah, sure.
When, when you got moved into organized crime with 66, now there was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, in 66, a lot of the outfit was really entrenched.
Yeah.
They had control over a lot of stuff, even the police department.
Right.
Didn't you have to worry who was with these guys and who wasn't? Didn't you have to be careful with organized crime?
Sure. At that point, we would have to have a search warrant on any raid in the district. They weren't that fussy, but on occasion we'd do a wire room, you know what a wire room is.
Right, yes.
So,
why don't you explain that,
maybe
because
the people that
Frank might be the only person that understands what you're
well,
saying.
a wire room is a slang term used for some one or two guys using telephone to take bets on horses or football, basketball, baseball games.
Horses.
And they would be in a storefront or an apartment somewhere. And but at that time, there were no cell phones. There were regular landline phones. So if you got a phone number on someone, you could check it through security, Illinois Bell Security, and they would give you the name, address, and phone number. I mean, the apartment number, wherever the phone is located. And from that point on, you would have to get a search warrant and signed by a state's attorney and a judge, and raise your right hand and swear, you know, this is all true. That, you know, you had an informant.
Did any of them give you trouble reading these places? Any politicians, any judges?
Yeah, there was one that was ridiculous. That
You recall his name?
it's a woman. It was a man-woman.
No. She was a, what do you mean, she had a sex change or?
No, just Lottie Zagorski. You ever heard that name?
Say the name again?
Lottie.
Zagorski, no.
It's still there. She's dead, but the bar is still there. It's at 1935 1925 West Cortland.
No kidding.
I think they use it on occasion in the Chicago PD series, I think.
Now she was a judge or he was a judge? What did he have?
No, she was the owner.
Right.
Of the bar.
It was, but she had a long, you remember the movie Psycho?
Sure.
Yeah.
You remember the mother, what she looked like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Lottie looked like. Wore a long dress, had long hair. You walk in, say, how you doing, Lottie? Hiya, boys. I mean, but she dressed like a woman.
I was like Ma Barker, too.
And,
Yeah, right.
but
You think it was a guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Perkins played the role of his mother.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually dressed like the mother to be the mother.
But
Some sick people, huh?
he or she, when we busted her, him, or
What
whatever.
jail did you put he or she in?
Well,
the woman's
that's
jail or the male?
the thing. She was begging me,
To go to the woman's
please
jail.
don't put me in the men's lockup. Well, she's dressed like a woman, you know,
How
and
do
I
they
felt
make-
sorry for
How do
her.
they make someone like that a judge?
Not a judge.
Oh,
Where do you come here?
I
She's
think
a
about the judge.
bookmaker. She
Oh.
owned the bar.
Okay, but I said, who's the judge that gave you trouble
No.
with the search warrants?
There
It's
were,
all right.
there were people that when we brought her down to the station,
Okay,
down
okay.
at 11th Street, my lieutenant said, what did you do? I said, what? He said, who did you arrest? I said, this Lottie Zagorski, he said, holy man, he said, I got calls from precinct captains, aldermen, judges, state's attorneys, and she was really politically heavy.
Who were the state's attorney at that time?
I don't recall. That's
You have to look it up. What year was it?
already, it's in the book.
Buy the book.
Oh,
You want to know?
yeah, it was in
Good
the book.
businessman. Buy the book.
Sorry, there's a picture of her in there.
Yeah.
You want to look at it?
Yeah,
let me see
which
the
book is
picture.
it? Okay, you guys continue and I'll look for the
All right,
picture.
so you're trying to be a good cop, and you have a crew of guys that are good, right? Or did you have to watch your own people and organize crime?
Not my people. You would.
How about Jimmy Froome?
Jimmy Fune, he was a commander in intelligence.
With organized crime, or?
Yeah.
They said Daley loved the guy.
Yeah.
The old man.
Yeah. He's
Now, the old man Daley was there, right, when you were there?
Yeah. I went on the job before he became mayor.
Yeah. How was he? Was he straight?
How would I know? Do you
You're a
know?
cop.
Do you know?
I think he was dirty.
Do I, as a cop?
If I may interrupt for
Yeah.
a second, just to give you a little preview of the kind of books you'll see, or pictures rather. I don't know how well you can see it from where you are, but here's a picture of Tony Spilatro after they dug him out of the ground in Indiana.
Wow, I want to see. I've never
If
seen
you
a
don't
picture of
like
that.
the
It's
way
in your
this
book?
photograph looks, then go to the store and buy the book and you'll have a much closer
Can I see
view
that
of
real
it.
fast? I never saw
Sure.
it. Oh my God. Is that him? Just him? That's just Tony?
Both of them.
Both, is this the brother?
Yeah.
But his face is half gone.
Well, decomposition, yeah.
I got colored pictures I showed.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw
God.
the real deal recently, and
But
they were
there's
gory.
a story with that picture.
Well, that we won't tell. They have to buy your book.
Yeah.
You don't want to give it away, do you? You are a businessman, and
I got in trouble with that.
yeah.
Really?
Picture, yeah.
The picture?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because I've never seen the picture. I mean, you must have had a tough time getting that.
I'm having a hard time getting Lonnie.
I got it okay. Looking into
All right,
I
so,
didn't see it. Her
When did you
name.
retire?
from Chicago in 92,
92.
22
So,
years ago.
You,
Then I went with the sheriff for 8 years.
were you an organized crime there or just?
Yeah, I ran my own vice unit.
No, who was the boss there?
Mike Sheehan asked me to come over and set up a unit to,
He was a good guy, right, Mike Sheehan?
yeah, as far as I know, sure.
I mean, what you saw there was all
Yeah.
straight stuff,
Oh,
right?
yeah, sure.
How about Tommy Dark? You didn't know him,
I
right?
didn't know.
Yeah, but Sheehan was a good guy.
Good guy.
He was clean,
No, yeah.
no selling of badges.
In fact, when we had a conversation when I met him down at the Daily Center, and he asked me to come over and help him with organized crime and gambling and stuff. I said, well, how would that work? He said, you make up your own unit? I said, you won't give me people? He said, no. I said, okay. Then I would call my own shots. I would not
Right.
have to report to him. He said, Don, I don't want to know what you're doing, where you're going. I don't want you looking at me.
Right.
I said, okay, you got a deal. So
Would
I
this
worked.
be the subject?
That's Lottie.
Again, buy the book if you want to see a better picture of Lottie.
Let me see.
Well, excuse me a
Oh, I'm
second.
sorry.
Here's Lottie, and here's another picture of her. That's her mugshot, and here's a beautiful picture of her in her lovely summer dress. Or him. Lottie or Louie. Here you are, Frank. Do you miss the job? Would you still be working if you didn't,
I had
Reach
46 years of it. So
you're happy to be retired?
That's enough.
Do you do anything now that you're retired? Do you do anything with the Chicago Crime Commission?
Yes,
or?
every now and then I do something.
Good for you. It's a great organization, and I'm glad you're a part of it.
Well, I had to do some things, I don't know if I should say this,
Say it.
as vigilante, let's use that word. I would,
When is this, by the way, this is what you're going into?
well, when I was on the job and when I was with the sheriff and when
I heard a story, pardon me, there was a big deal some years ago, maybe in the 50s, there was a a person going around sticking people up in garages, raped a couple of women.
Yeah.
And did you have any exposure to that situation?
Yes.
And you're talking about a vigilante situation. Go ahead, would you? I'm intrigued by this.
This occurred in Austin, and I was working in a squad car at the time, uniform car, and this black guy was robbing people when they came home from work. It'd be in the fall, like November, and it would get dark early. So people, years ago, used to get paid on Friday. It was normal. And when they got home, they put their cars in the garage, and it would happen like it would be dark around 4:30 in the wintertime. And he would watch cars park their car, or watch people park their cars in the garage. Then he would go in the garage and rob them. And he had a gun, a knife, and one woman he raped. And this went on and on and on. Every Friday he would do it, because it's payday. So, and it happened a few times on my beat in the squad. You know, it was around Ohio and Hamlin and Central Park and that area. A lot of Italians over there.
Right.
So the alderman was screaming, and they'd send in detectives from the areas to come out there and see if they could grab him, and nobody had any luck. So I started going down there on my own time. I tell my wife I gotta go play cards tonight, and I had police calls on my own radio in my own car, and I would go down there and sit on some intersection and see if I had watched cars going in alleys and pull in the garage, and I don't know, it was a little goofy to do this.
But it's your own time, huh?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't tell anybody I was doing it.
Right.
Police, nobody. My wife, nobody. So one time on a Friday, my partner called me at home, and I wasn't home, and his name was Bob Peters, and he asked for it. She said, he's not home, he's playing cards. He said, he's playing cards? Oh, okay. So the next day, went to work, he said, what's her name? I said, what name? I said,
he thought you were having an affair, you know, you don't play cards.
Yeah.
And you would never cheat on your wife?
Never.
Yeah.
So he said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And finally I told him what I was doing. I said, I'm going down there, I'm trying to find this guy. He said, why don't you ask me? I'll go with you. So he come down in his own car too, and we didn't have car-to-car radios or anything. So he would be at like one intersection, I'd be at another one by an alley, and we have signals, you know, if something happens with a flashlight, just give me a signal, I'll go by you, or you go by me, or whatever. Anyway, one night we were all set up, and I saw this, looked like a little old man park his car. I think it was the second house off the corner. He pulled it in the garage. And this big black guy come out of the yard across the alley and walked in the garage. I said, yo, this
has got to be the
So I'm waving at Bob, yo, and he comes down.
Did you run in the garage, stick him up?
No, he'd probably shoot us. So now we're in a trap. We don't know what to do.
Right.
Well, now we're standing there. Oh, here we are. Now what? He's in there, and he's got a victim.
Right, he's robbing.
And maybe he'll kill him. He hasn't killed anybody yet. But what are we going to do? Open the door, and he's going to see us? I said, this is crazy. I said, let's wait till he comes out. I said, all right, let's wait. All right, and he comes out, and he's counting money. He put the gun in his belt, and he's walking out of the yard. And then Bob and I, we had actually plastic, like Halloween masks, you know, like a Chinaman.
Right.
And we had them on because we didn't want him, if the police come, they'll say, they're the guys that, you know. So we put the mask on, so when he come out of the alley, out of the yard, we said, get your hands up. Now he thinks he's being robbed.
I was going to say, you guys look like robbers.
Yeah, he thinks we're robbing him.
Yeah.
So
guys were the first,
I thought,
what was Death Wish? What was the guy's name? Charles Bronson.
Bronson, yeah.
But he didn't wear no jacket.
No, he didn't.
But he looked like a Chinese.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
So what you arrested?
the guy was really scared, and we searched him and grabbed the gun, and the guy's money, and he had his wallet, the guy in the garage,
Right.
you know. So we handcuffed him to a fence, and we pulled his pants down. And then the Italian guy comes running in the house, yelling his Maria, I think it was Maria, screaming, and just, you know he's going to call the police, right?
Right.
So.
Because he don't know who you guys are either, right?
He don't know who we are.
Right.
But we didn't say, police, get your hand up.
Right.
Either one of us said that.
Right.
We just said, get your hand up, so he thinks he's being robbed.
Right.
So anyway, we hear sirens coming. So there was a garbage can with a pink ribbon in it from some party or something. So I tied a bow on this guy's head, and a pink ribbon, and we pulled we had his pants down, and we stuck the gun under his pants. He couldn't get at it.
Right.
And the knife and the guy's ID and wallet and all that. And then we went to the yard across the alley, and it was really dark. So we waited, the police pull up, and then this old Italian guy comes running out. I've been robbed. The black guy saying, I've been robbed. And the police would say, what the?
What do we got
What's
here?
going on?
That's a great story.
So, but
Is that in the book?
yeah. But we were going to come out then and say, hey, that's our pinch, you know.
Yeah, right.
But,
You were debating, right?
We didn't do it. We stayed in the yard and we're giggling and laughing. And the police, of course, they didn't care.
You got
Hey, we got the bad guy.
All set up for that.
And they were promoted to dicks and all that.
Right, because of that bus.
Yeah.
Because this guy was robbing everybody.
Well, he was really the hottest thing around. So
That's great.
we never told anybody we did it. You know.
You think you could have got in trouble? Or you don't know?
Well, if it turned out bad, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And other policemen say, what are you, nuts? You're not getting paid to do that. What are you, goofy? That's what we wanted to avoid.
Right.
You know,
You're right.
So, yeah.
But you felt like that's the way, that's police.
Well, I mean, it's a personal thing now. I hate
Yeah.
this guy. He's in my area.
And he's robbing old people,
Yeah,
robbing, raping.
right.
Raping on top of it.
That's a great
Well,
story.
that was the beginning of fooling around like a
Quite a bit.
Do
vigilante.
you remember a burglary crew that I think was pretty popular in the 1960s? One of the burglars was a fellow by the name of Lou Vicelli. They were known as a torture gang. They would go around and do horrible things to women on home invasions.
Yeah, I remember those.
They were public enemy number one.
Yeah,
or
they were
something.
bad guys.
You ever have-
What's his name? I forget his name. No, I had nothing to do with them.
I see. Well, Don.
I think your man Hanhart did.
Oh, I see. Sure. My man.
Hanhart was protecting them, or?
No,
Oh,
no, he was. I just had it.
No, he was out to get him.
Oh, what's he-
The outfit was out to get them.
because they
too.
were running wild, right?
They're causing
Because of heat.
Yeah. Don, I thank you enormously for your participation today. Any chance that we might be able to get you back on
Oh,
a
it'd be
future?
great, because we haven't
in the
even touched the
future?
surface.
No, we haven't.
Well, what you know.
We want to give the audience an opportunity to get your books and do a little reading up, and then I think they'll appreciate another conversation
Story,
with you.
definitely.
And if not, we understand. We know you're enjoying
That story with
your retirement.
the Vigilante, they only see that in movies. They don't
Right.
know that really, they get the stories from true,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolute true
Well,
stuff.
it was when you're successful, you know, it was okay.
Yeah, but
they
still.
were nice, so you never saw nothing.
Right, but that's the chances you take when you're doing it, but you're taking chances.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You know,
Because what if he pulled out a gun and started shooting? You gotta shoot him, right?
Yeah. Well, we'd probably still be okay because he just robbed someone.
Yeah.
So we would probably still be okay.
Yeah.
But then they would say, "What are you doing there?
Yeah, why are you
You know,
around?
was
there?
this an accident or
Right.
what are you?" You know.
Yeah. Would you just happen to be driving by?
Yeah, right.
And the guy's getting robbed in the garage?
Yeah, right.
How was the guy, well, the guy didn't even know you did it. He probably didn't even know what was going on.
Well, the old guy comes down and he sees the black guy. He said, yeah, that's the guy that robbed me, because he cleared up. He's being robbed and he's being robbed, and finally the old Italian guy come out and he said, yeah, that's him, he robbed me.
When you guys grabbed the guy, I know we have to get going though.
No, we don't have to,
But
we're going to.
when you finally got him, did the old man stay in the garage till he thought it was clear? Or he
He didn't come out.
He didn't know what to do, right?
No,
he didn't know what to do.
He didn't see us grabbing him in the
Right.
alley or anything, but because he wanted to get in the house.
Yeah,
call the
right.
police,
Please.
So.
Don, I'm gonna stand up when I shake your hand.
Yeah.
You stay seated, though. You are a true hero.
Yeah.
No,
What you've done for the city of Chicago
No.
is something that we all are
I
proud of.
liked it.
Thank
It
you.
was fun.
No, it's
Thank you.
enjoyable.
Thank you.
We got to have you back on because
Yeah.
there's a lot more. You just touched on a little
Excuse me
period.
a second.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our show today. We trust that you have enjoyed it, and we will be back sometime next week. We'll let you know when, and we'll certainly do everything in our power to get Mr. Harrihan back on the show. Have a good weekend, and be safe for Super Bowl Sunday.
Good show today. It's a very interesting man. Good show.